This is a very good timing to develop a program like this that really focuses on the personal skills, the business skills, the organizational skills of running companies in a very interdependent, fast-moving world. And South Africa is sometimes a bit of an island. And we need a generation that are going to take advantage of all the opportunities the continent and the globe present us and build the competitive abilities to do that.
Our competitiveness is increasing and only going to increase, because if you think about it, at the moment Johannesburg is the only global city on the continent, and so it's a natural home for international expansion and expansion into sub-Saharan Africa.
We've had a very interesting mixed history actually in the last 20 years. After 1994, many of our top companies went global. I think of SAB Miller and others. Some have succeeded and some have not succeeded. Partly because we were so isolated. I think we overestimated or underestimated our ability. In the next 10 years, there's going to be a lot of rivalry and development in East Africa, in West Africa, and hopefully in other areas. And our companies are exploring this and are building their knowledge of the African economy. But to do it, they need global linkages. And it's a pretty complicated territory, because to run a retailer in Kenya or a telco in Ghana or a bank or a mine in any of these countries is going to be difficult. For us, I think, Africa remains a huge domain for South African companies.
There's a very interesting debate at the moment happening on globalization. The previous debate was whether globalization was reversing, but there's a new understanding that globalization is not reversing. In fact, it's accelerating, but there are different perspectives of globalization. Some scholars have a more traditional view of globalization as integration, where there's an alternative view that some of that integration is positive, some of that integration is negative. So there's a competition of perspectives of this phenomenon. The phenomenon of globalization is continuing and will continue. The digital economy is going to be huge in Africa. It's going to play out in two ways. The one is we're going to be leapfrogging a whole bunch of technologies that have taken a while to evolve. Could you imagine Africa and its institutions, some of those institutions, they lend themselves to the blockchain technology that's behind the cryptocurrencies. They absolutely lend themselves to that. The second big advantage that Africa is going to have from the new technology is that Africa, the technology is mobile. It's largely mobile because of the institutions, and that's going to bring through a whole bunch of new business models that aren't going to be able to evolve elsewhere. So we'll test them, we'll develop them. We're looking for somebody who is really interested in any aspect of international business. They preferably have worked in a multinational or are interested in working in a multinational at some stage. And I'm confident that most of our talent will spend some time internationally.
And of course, the style of the program will be familiar to the culture of GIBS, which is damn hard work, lots of preparation, lots of engagement in the classroom, and an applied kind of scholarship that people can use immediately in their careers.
One of the advantages of doing this MPhil in South Africa at this time, we're having some wonderful, wonderful debates in our own society about cultures. We're introspecting, and there's no way you can understand another culture unless you've introspected enough.
It's a master's, it's an MPhil, so that has an attraction. But I think if I was in my 30s, I'd want to do this program. Because there's no question that as we look over the hill into the next 10 years, South Africa's going to have to fight for its lunch. And the knowledge we need to do that is partly domestic, but it's partly global. And with the African platform and all of the other regions around it, there's going to be a food fight for investment, for success, for competitiveness. So if I was looking at my career in a corporate or wanting to start up a business, this is the kind of base curriculum you need on top of the experience you've had already.